Okay. Dishonor of a negotiable instrument. So we have discussed the process of bill of exchange. When it is dishonored, you go to the court, you get it noted, you get a certificate from the court, which is called protest, right? But when it comes to negotiable instrument, the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 clarifies that what are the different circumstances in which a bill of exchange is dishonored. So a bill of exchange under section 91 is dishonored in certain very specific conditions. The first condition is that if the bill is presented to the drawee for acceptance and he does not accept that within 48 hours from the time of presentment of the acceptance. This is the first instance in which the bill will be called bill dishonored if it is not accepted within 48 hours. Everybody knows that the bill is made by the person who is the creditor, and he sends that bill to the acceptance, the person who is going to give acceptance, who is drawee, right? We are the person who is making it as a drawer. The drawee has to accept it within 48 hours. If he doesn't accept it, it gets dishonored. So that is what is bill dishonor, the first condition, ordinary condition when the bill is dishonored. The second is that when you draw a bill, the drawer draws a bill on a fictitious person, or he cannot be traced for after reasonable search. There are two conditions in which the bill is dishonored: that you have drawn the bill and the bill is on fictitious person. You have created an imaginary character. The bill is immediately dishonored. The second, that the person is present, but you are not able to trace it even after doing reasonable search, right? You have made all efforts to find out the person. In that condition also bill is dishonored. Third condition, the drawee is incompetent to contract. The bill is treated as dishonored. Look, the bill of exchange is also governed by the Indian Contract Act 1872. You have studied Indian Contract Act under mercantile laws in your first year. And some of the very important conditions of a legal agreement for a legal contract are, for example, one, the person cannot be minor. The person cannot be of unsound mind, right? The person is not barred from the court of law to make any contract. These are certain very important, basic, fundamental conditions of the person legally available for making a contract. If he is incompetent to make a contract, then you cannot draw a bill for that incompetent person. So the bill is treated dishonored. When a bill is accepted with a qualified acceptance, the holder may treat the bill of exchange having been dishonored. If the bill is accepted with a qualified acceptance, we know what is a general acceptance. Whatever is written on the bill, the drawee accepts it and sends it back to the drawer. If it is endorsed, the endorsement goes to the endorsee. The endorsee is the holder in due course. He can treat the bill dishonored if the acceptance is not general. Right? Fifth condition is that drawee has either become insolvent or he's dead. In both the conditions, the bill is dishonored. When presentment for acceptance is excused and the bill is not accepted. So for example, the drawer and the drawee has, some kind of understanding. They say, okay, you draw the bill. That's okay. Keep it with you. I will make the payment. If the acceptance has not been done, the bill is not legal. It becomes void and illegal. And at the moment it becomes, you cannot endorse it further. If you have endorsed it, that is also void. So the bill is treated as dishonored in case the acceptance has not been done. Now, what are the different conditions under section 92? That what are the conditions in which the non-payment will cause a dishonor? Once the bill is accepted, it is supposed to be presented on the date of maturity, and the acceptor fails to make a payment on its due date. The bill is dishonored by non-payment. That's the general definition of dishonor by non-payment for bill of exchange. What is the effect of dishonor? The effect of dishonor is that when a negotiable instrument is dishonored, either by non-acceptance or non-payment, the other parties thereto can be charged with the liability. If the acceptor of the bill dishonors the bill, the holder may bring an action against the drawer and the endorser. Now, the very important point is that, for example, the bill was accepted by X and it was endorsed to Y. It was made by Z. The Y on the payment date of maturity goes to X, asks for payment. X refuses to make a payment. He will charge both X and Z for a liability to make payment. So effect of dishonor is that both X and Z are responsible. In this case, they have a liability to make a payment. Notice of dishonor we have discussed in section 93. We have already discussed in detail what is notice of dishonor. Notice of dishonor means that actual notification of dishonor of the instrument by non-acceptance or non-payment is issued. That when it is the drawee is not ready to make a payment, the notice must be given immediately to the parties holder wishes to make them liable. So X and Z in the previous example, they will be given the notice that you have failed to make a payment. And this is the notice period in which either you discharge your liability or I will take it to the court. Right? So section 95 tells you a notice given by a stranger is not valid. Each party receiving notice of dishonor must, in order to render any prior party liable, give notice of dishonor to such party within a reasonable period of time. For example, it is very important that what you do is, one Mr. X is supposed to give a notice to Mr. Y is supposed to give a notice to X and Z. He will hire a lawyer for that. Lawyer will make a note and then he will issue the notice to Mr. X and Mr. Z that you are the drawer, you are the drawee, please make the payment. Make sure the payment is made in next 15 days. If you will not make the payment, we will take this matter to the court. But the point is that notice must be given by the person who was supposed to receive the money, Mr. Y, who was the payee in this case, who is holder in due course, who got the endorsement, he's the endorsee. He is supposed to address the people. If the lawyer addresses Mr. Y and Mr. X and Mr. Z for making a payment, he is a stranger. So under section 95, the notice must be given to relevant parties by the aggrieved party who did not receive the payment. Lawyer cannot write. Lawyer can use himself as on behalf of my client so and so, I am writing to you. That should be the language of the notice. He cannot write that I am suing you in the court of law. I am the lawyer so and so, and I do not even mention Mr. Y's name anywhere. So X and Z are not liable to respond to that particular notice because it is given by a stranger. Stranger should not be there. The lawyer should use the word on behalf of my client, Mr. X, whose company is this, whose address is this. I am sending you a legal notice to make the payment of so and so, attaching a copy of the bill, so on and so forth. This is the specification under section 95. Notice to whom we have discussed under section 93. Under section 97, where a party entitled to receive a notice of dishonor is dead and notice is given to him in ignorance of his death, it is sufficient. So for example, you have given notice to Mr. Z, probably who passed away by the time notice received by, at his address. Because he passed away and you were not aware of it, court will consider that notice was given. But only in case you were not aware. If you were aware, there is a public announcement, you got to know about it, still you served the notice on him, the notice is void, illegal. You cannot serve a legal notice to a dead person. If a party has become insolvent, the notice should be given to the legal representative of the party. Either X or Z in this case becomes insolvent. Under section 94, you should give this legal notice, find out who is the legal representative of this person, who is representing this person in the court of law as an insolvent. Give notice to him, not to this person directly, because insolvency provisions in the country India are giving protection to the insolvent person that he will not be contacted directly by the creditors. He will be contacted via the legal route, the legal representative, the court. There is a protection in the insolvency code in this country that if the person goes to the court that I am insolvent, The court takes over the entire procedure of insolvency. So court must be informed, the legal representative must be informed by the creditors. They cannot approach the insolvent party directly. What is the mode of notice? We have already told you, you need to go to the court, get it registered under notary. The notary will put it on a piece of paper, which is called judicial and non-judicial stamp papers, right? They will get it certified by the notary. Notary charges are paid and a certificate is prepared. The certificate is called protest. What are the other things? Place of notice, duties of holder upon dishonor. Noting and protesting we have discussed. Section 99 and 100. Suit for money. This is also we have discussed. Instrument acquired after dishonor. Noting and protesting we have discussed in detail. Section 99 and 100. I did not tell you the sections earlier. These are section 99 and 100. Noting under 99, protest under 100. Section 100. You can just go through these things in detail. Contents of a protest. This is just a legal document. So some of the things that should be included in the legal document are written over here. So section 101 tells you that what is the contents of a regular and perfect protest. So one is that the instrument itself or a literal transcript of the instrument. So instrument is bill of exchange, which has been dishonored. That has to be written. Everything written or printed thereupon should be included in this protest. The name of the person for whom and against whom the instrument has been protested. The person because of whom the instrument has been dishonored, his name, address, etc. should be fully provided. The fact of and reasons of dishonor. Very, very clear reasons of dishonor should be mentioned over here. First is what is the bill? The entire bill should be printed. Secondly, the person because of whom this has been dishonored. Thirdly, the reason behind dishonor, right? Fourth, the time and place of demand and dishonor. When did you present the bill for payment and when did he not agree to make the payment? Signature of the notary public, the noting charges portion that we discussed under section 99 that talks about the signature of notary public, stamping of notary public. In the case of acceptance of honor or payment for honor by the person, such acceptance or payment, very important that say, for example, the bill was accepted and it was declined or dishonored at the time of payment. That acceptance should also be clearly mentioned in the protest certificate. So that is what the protest certificate should contain. These are the exact things that should be contained in the protest certificate that will be called perfect protest. And that will be easily signed by the court of law. That will be easily accepted by the court of law. If any of these 6 items are missing, unclear, ambiguous, misprinted, overwritten, wrong information provided, the protest will not be accepted by the court. Even if it is signed by the notary public here, then also court may reject the protest and would call for a fresh protest certificate. So it is very, very important. That is why I have thrown some light on this portion, that how it is, the bill is dishonored and what is the thing. So this is the small summary of dishonor of the bill. You can just go through that. These are keywords of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Just go through all of these. You will get to know what are the important definitions in the act that are provided for bill of exchange, promissory note, characteristics, features, etc. Fine. Any questions?